If you're looking to get a better work-life balance, implement systems, or succeed in business or real estate, in this episode of Prime People, I bring on Jessica Yates to talk about all of the above. And in a special bonus fact, we talk about how working at Dairy Queen may make you a real estate mogul. Welcome to the Prime People podcast, where we cover all things that got us to where we are today, our team building strategies, the marketing and sales tips that we've learned through thousands of transactions, productivity tips, ways to really just hold yourself accountable to accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and all things content creation, personal development, and not to mention we have some of the best guests on the planet. Well, starting talking about communication, right? Like the platform thing you just explained was super interesting. For a long time, I was using WhatsApp, Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger, my cell phone, email, Slack, internal communication on Google Drive. And I was like, man, I need to figure out a way to compartmentalize this, because like I would literally time block almost 45 minutes. I created a folder on my bookmarks, put them all in there, opened everything. And slowly I was like, okay, I got to retrain my brain, my internal team, my clients. How do you even begin to, communicate expectations with clients when maybe you've set expectations that you're going to communicate a certain way? Like if you have a clear path and you're like, I'm going to use WhatsApp for all my messages, like how would you start claiming your time back by setting those expectations? How would you actually implement that?
So the first way we get it set up is usually when I'm at their house or whatever, I just say, do you have WhatsApp? 99% of people are like, yeah, I use it all the time. I'm like, perfect, we use that, and I explain it. They're like, great. There are a few people that don't, or they're like, I'll download it. And then otherwise we accommodate them. And then I feel that it really helps to take your time back, because you don't have to check as many apps. I mean, you still do check them, but it's less frequent. And you can, keep all those conversations in one place, because before, every time I picked up my phone, there would be a text and a Facebook message and an Instagram message. And now if I'm picking up my phone to call somebody or do something personal, I am not bombarded by all the messages from all the different places, right? If I want to check work messages, I just click on WhatsApp and they're all right there.
And what do you think? I mean, going back to what we were talking about earlier about the work-life balance, what do you think the top issues are when it comes to people in work-life balance?
I think that, the issues are that they feel that, they have to jump for the people, otherwise they're going to lose them, in real estate specifically. And I think, do you mean like in terms of what things are?
Just things that you think are detrimental to our industry. I want to compartmentalize them. So like that first thing of making people think that they have to jump at every single turn. I think that is a big problem in our industry. I think anybody in sales and marketing watching this would equate the same thing. Like they're so scared of losing the client or the opportunity. Where do you think that comes from innately? And how would you coach a newer agent that maybe doesn't have the confidence to address that concern or that issue that they're dealing with?
I think in whole with our industry, people think that there's not enough business to go around. And it is true. If you don't reply to somebody, most of the time someone else will reply to them if they are contacting numerous people. But then you have to decide, are those the kind of people that you want to work with? So, if somebody calls you and you don't call them back within 3 minutes, and you call them back in 5 minutes and they say they want someone else that answered, that might not be your kind of person. I think that for a newer person, it's hard for them to accept that or hear that, because they haven't had any success or sold anything yet. So I think, I give them this advice, but I kind of think they have to do it themselves or go through it themselves to actually learn. But the advice I would give is, like, don't beat yourself up over that sort of thing. You're doing a good job. Keep doing what you're doing, and your people will come to you. And that's that's the truth, really.
Yeah. In this business, especially, I mean, it's the nature of the beast. When you get into the business, you have lots of time and zero clients, you're going to do everything to get anything going, right? I remember driving 4 hours to like Rodney and driving all over these places. So I think it was a marina motel, which was not in my territory at all. And I learned a lot through the process, made some good connections, put them in hands of somebody that should have been selling that property, made a referral, and moved on my merry little way. But it was that constant like thirst and urge to generate business that really kind of caused that initial, like, I got to work and deal with every single person out there. You said something to me that, you want to reverse engineer the life that you want, use real estate as a vehicle to get there. So let's go back a step though. Before I even need a client, how would I establish what type of life that I want to create in order to then go after those clients? Do you know what I mean? Like, what am I beyond a real estate agent? Because I think a lot of people think they're defined by becoming a real estate agent, but I think it starts with you as a person, right?
Yeah. So for me personally, before I had kids, I was just all about real estate. Then once I had kids and became a mom, that became, my number one thing. So I want to be a mom, create a good life for them where we have, financial freedom. We're able to do things, but not at the expense of not being with them or, often because I know a lot of people are away from their kids 20 hours a day or whatever. I don't want that. And I don't want them to grow up thinking that that's what you have to do. So that's been my biggest thing. And I feel that I have been able to shape my business around it. It did obviously take a lot of time and work and failing and feeling the way that those newer people feel that they have to do everything. If I came into the business and I already was a mom, I don't know how that would have went, because it would have been a real struggle to feel that I have to run around with all these clients but have these little kids too. I don't know what I would have done starting out, but that's where I'm at personally.
Yeah, well, I think it makes a lot of sense, because when you get in this business, you think you almost need to be a different person in order to generate the business, right? Like I created this channel so that people could get a jump start on 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years plus of knowledge. Some people that have been on this podcast share things that you only figured out by walking through fire and then turning around and being like, the celebritization of our industry is a thing that kind of bothers me to a certain extent, because it paints this picture that isn't going to make you successful. Like, I think especially with people that buy their followings on social media and all these different things that I see happening, that the consumers and the agents don't realize they're chasing this false equivalency of who they think they need to be. And I think you saying, I'm a mom, I want to be with my kids, I want to make that an important part of my life, is going to attract more moms to work with you. If you're looking for an agent, Jessica's a mom. And if you speak to her, then you're going to work with her. I think that's the world where you're really going to attract the right clients, right? Has there been a shift since you kind of identified that in yourself?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I do feel that a lot of moms or families are more connected to me now because I am a mom. So yeah, I have a lot more connections now, even just from baby groups and all that sort of thing. But in general, I feel like I get those clients more now than I did before, because I didn't get it before. So it's a whole new world now.
Yeah, and you're a pretty empathetic person. I've seen you obviously in different groups that we spend time together in, and you always try and contribute to the conversation, but never from a place like, look at me, right? Is it that the same tactic kind of in the mom groups? I doubt you're in there like a Tupperware party saying like, here's my business card, who wants to buy and sell real estate, right?
I'm kind of weird about the real estate thing. Like, for example, when I was in the baby group, one of the moms was like, you don't know her? And then everyone looked at me. I'm like, oh no, don't bring it up. And then the girl's like, she's famous, she's a realtor. I'm like, I almost want to say, no, I'm not. So I'm like, well, I am. So I'm not going to say I'm not a real. It's just weird. Like, I don't go out and like brag about it really, but on social media, like when I sell a house or whatever, I'm like, sold. And then it might come across that way. But in person, I'm like, no, I didn't win that thing or do that thing. Just drop the topic.
But I think that's where it comes from. Like a lot of my agents, what we're working through, when they're on board, who are you? What do you love doing? Right? Like I'll throw them in front of a camera and be like, hey, part of this is us finding out if you want to be that person on social media and you enjoy content creation. There's some that are prime that you don't even know exist, but they're the best people to golf with and play hockey with. And they really love belly to belly friendship connections. And like, I tell them, go wherever you go, wherever your friends are is where your clients are going to be. And actively don't talk about real estate. They're going to ask you because they know you do real estate. But if you try and not talk about real estate, that's the best path to actually build those relationships, right?
I think that's really important, because I think when a lot of people get into the business, they think they need to do like all of these clubs and volunteering. And I never did any of the stuff that I just normally wouldn't genuinely do. So like I wouldn't join these clubs unless I wanted to for myself. I don't know if that's good advice, because obviously that's all, meeting people. But for me, I was like, I'm not going to try and do things that I normally wouldn't do. I'm just going to do my thing. And like you said, my people will come to me. And I think everyone has their thing. So I might have the mom groups or whatever. Someone else might have sports. Some people may have podcasts or videos or whatever. And I think that when people are getting into the business, they think they have to do what other people do. So I think they think, well, this guy has a podcast, so I should probably have one. Or this guy does walkthrough videos, so I should do it. Or has TikTok or whatever. But really, I think people should stick to doing the things that they're good at and that they thrive at and enjoy, not try and do what everyone else is doing, because they'll succeed and have, better luck. I feel like it makes more sense to focus on what you're good at than grab at 50 different things because everyone else is doing it too. Kind of a little bit off topic, but
not really. That's a perfect answer. And I was going to say, like, you said, I don't know if that's good advice. What I was thinking about is I'm like, well, it's great advice if that doesn't track to who you are, right? I always make the comparison that, like, I like fishing. If you don't like fishing, don't go fishing. Yeah. Like, if you think, well, I got to go fishing because Justin goes fishing and you hate your life, you're going to quit this job in an hour. And some people, like, I know some people that are hyped to be at networking events. Like, they will work a room and they will get around other people that like networking, and they're talking the same language. I think it comes down to identifying who you are, what your passions are, and making that a part of your business rather than separating it, which I struggled early on in my career too, where, I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. And, I was trying to do things the way that, people were telling me they needed to be done. And it just didn't feel right. And then I got around a group of like-minded people. I like content creation. I like picking people's brains. Yeah. I would do this for free. Even if the camera wasn't on, I would do a Zoom with you, talk shop. We'll get into systems in a little bit. Like, for me, this is something I can keep doing because I enjoy it, right? But if you don't like podcasting and you don't like having conversations with people, I don't think that it's sustainable, right? So was there ever like a trigger point in your business where you identified the things you enjoyed, or did you have to try things that you didn't enjoy to figure out what you enjoyed? Like, what was that process like for you?
Yeah, so when I started, I was told, like, you need to door knock this many people, call these many people, do all these things. And yeah, I started door knocking. I'm like, this is not my thing. It's just not for me. It was awkward for me. Some people love it, but for me, it just didn't work. So I kept doing the things that I enjoyed doing, realizing over time what they were, and then seeing that I had success from them, and then continuing with those things.
So what were the things? Like, what were some of the things that you found success in your business?
So for me, my sphere of influence is huge.
So for people that don't speak real estate, what would sphere of influence be?
So yeah, friends, family members, people I used to go to school with, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just social with them naturally, not just trying to get business. And then of course they would bring it up, like you mentioned. They bring it up on their own. Like, if that's awesome, you got into real estate, we're actually thinking about moving next year, we'll call you. I'm like, perfect. And I would keep their information or whatever. Social media was big for me. And that's another thing I think that everyone thinks they have to do, but if it's not your thing. So you probably noticed on the groups and everything, I just talk a lot on social media, and it might come across that I'm trying to do it for business or referrals or something, but I'm honestly not. Like, I've always just been that way. I'll randomly think of something and be like, I wonder what everyone else thinks about this. And
I actually think the first time I reached out to you was because I saw your name pop up and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? Or you commented on something and I just replied back and I said, hey, yeah, like, we're definitely like-minded. I appreciate your answer to that. I think that's one of the biggest keys. So many people on social media, there's a huge mistake content creators make, is they just walk into it, like, almost like they're in high school at the cafeteria. I'm Justin and I do this. And everybody's like, you're a weirdo. We have no idea who you are, versus Jessica comes in and sits down at the table and just starts talking, right? Like, being part of those groups is what creates the relationships.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So for me, social media is big. Naturally, I wasn't like trying to, because I felt like I had to. Sphere of influence, friends, family, that sort of thing. And those are my biggest things. When I started, I did open houses and stuff, like just different real ways of building my database, personable type, more genuine. Like, it felt more genuine to me. I was doing an open house. Of course, I was there trying to meet people, but it felt better for me. So I stuck with open houses for a long time. I would meet people. It would be a real conversation we would have, not just me trying to like get them as a client. when I would talk to them about what they want, I would feel like I really wanted to help them, and it would go from there. Whereas like with door knocking, I felt like I'm knocking to like try and get money or something. It was weird. And that's my thing, but there are people that are good at door knocking. They love it. They have a different approach, you know.
Well, we had one on this channel. If you want to watch the episode, then click this little box right here. I'll try and put it. I'm not very good at YouTube, so I'll try and link it. Ken Purdy's a friend of mine through Sirhan, and he's the door knocker. Like, he loves door knocking. Rob on my team actually wants to get in like 20,000 steps a day or something like that. And I think it's, gamifying your life and making it fun, which kind of segues into the next topic that I wanted to discuss with you, and that's systems. Obviously having systems in place when you're doing business is important. We've had these conversations on the back channels. How do you think of systemizing your business? And was it something you did super early on? Is it something you're working through right now?
So when I first started, I didn't really understand what systems were, but I thought I did. So I had like Lion Desk, and I tried all these CRMs, and I'm like, I'm systemized. But then I realized that's not systemized. That's just having a CRM, basically a phone book. So I mainly learned how to systemize things kind of on my own, maybe through some like, YouTube videos and stuff like that. But I think systems are huge and a good CRM because it helps run your whole business. So we use Follow Up Boss now, which is a CRM for realtors. I think it's good for teams, and everything's systemized. So, like cards that go out and things that we do on a regular basis and all of those things. We use Asana now recently to systemize different things we do for clients every month of the year, past clients, marketing, to keep track of everything, and nothing gets missed because it's just all in these couple of places and really organized. And I think taking the time to actually build the systems is huge. So I spent hours and hours, years, perfecting everything. And still every day we're adding new things to the system. So I feel like I can't even believe I didn't have those systems before. It's almost like I didn't even have a business before. I don't even know what I was doing. Just hanging out, I guess.
Well, like I'd say 85 to 90% of the industry, they wing it, right? I was talking to my coach today, and we were having a conversation around that. And like, she deals with a very large coaching organization and a lot of data in terms of our industry. And, somebody gave me some really good advice early on. They're like, open a Google document and write at the very top operations manual, and then start with one dot email. Like, how do you handle your email? Right. It's kind of fun because once you start working through it, it's like you said, I was smiling when you said it because I'm going through our listing protocol right now. I'm looking at my pre-listing protocol. Like, we create the system and then we implement it, and then we reiterate, right? We chop stuff out, we add stuff in. It took me a very long time to figure out, where does that document live? How often do we update it? Where does the checklist live? We use Asana and Follow Up Boss as well too. So I'm very intimate with both of those systems.
I love it. I got excited to talk about it.
Yeah, that's why we're here. So we can talk about it if you want.
It's just so huge. And it's like, people are not really running a business, I don't think, if they don't have these things in place. And it's really stressful to keep it all in your head. So we have systems for absolutely every possible thing. Buyer consultation, the listing process, before the listing, the CMA process, during the listing, after it closes, ongoing. It's and my mind just explodes with real estate ideas, and I keep adding more and more. But
so what does your structure look like of your support network? Like, who is the person that is the focus of all this energy and all of these tasks, and who's helping you, and what does that dynamic look like?
Well, my coach says I should have an implementer, but I am the idea person and the implementer, which is overwhelming. Yeah. I do have a full-time assistant that will take what I tell her and do it. Yeah. But I'm the one that every day, like, scratch that, do this, do that, do that. And they're like, whoa, this is crazy. What do you want me to do? So I do have someone to put it in place, but I do kind of come up with the ideas and then perfect it, scratch it, redo it, and just always try to make it better and better.
I heard a good one recently from the visionary and integrator from the book EOS. I'll send you a copy of that book. I always send that book to our guests. Have you read EOS or Rocket Fuel?
Yeah, Rocket Fuel I have.
Okay. You haven't read that Traction? Have you read Traction?
No, I actually have that book.
You have? I got to find you something else. Okay. RR, remind me to send her something after in that same vein. We definitely think alike. But it talks about that, right? Of like the visionary being able to have that person that, hey, let's do ABC, let's figure out these projects and implement them. It is challenging sometimes as an entrepreneur or somebody that's playing both the visionary and the integrator to handle all of those things and your clients. What does your work week look like, especially if we're talking balance? Like, when do you put down the Asana pen or the project pen and pick up the client pen? Do you put parameters around, I'm going to be with my family at this time and I'm going to spend time with my little ones? Like, how do you look at your work week and structure it so you have that work-life balance that we spoke about?
So for me now, I have a team. So obviously it's a lot different than a single agent. So it was harder when I was on my own. But for someone that's on their own, first, I just want to say it's probably a good idea to have someone else in their brokerage that they trust, that they can send if they can't make it, and have some sort of arrangement. That's what I did before I had a team. But now what I try and do is in the morning, like between 9 and 10, just do a checklist of work items. So I actually made a schedule that I put beside my computer in my office, and I just go through the list and like check on those leads, do this, email, and then it can get done pretty quickly. And then the afternoons are pretty flexible for appointments or kid stuff or whatever I want to do. And then around nighttime, bedtime, like 7 p.m., I'm at my house, dinner time at my house. And then weekends, I try and be at my house a lot, but they're a little flexible. And one thing I'm going to implement when I'm back, I'm actually on maternity leave right now. I don't know if you knew that, but another agent in my office had this idea that I thought was really good. So instead of feeling like you have to be out every single night of the week, because I really don't want to be, I'm going to pick 2 nights, like say Monday and Thursday, where those are my 2 nights I go out on listing appointments. And I haven't implemented that yet, but I'm going to. So if somebody calls on Sunday and says, can you come over to list our house? I'll say, yeah, does tomorrow or Thursday work? And it'll just be like that. So that's my goal. And those will be my 2 nights that my family knows Jessica might be out those nights. And hopefully not long, but like to a listing appointment or 2. So that's what I'm trying to implement as well. And then making times in my schedule that are like non-negotiable. So the 7 to 7:30 bedtime area, I'm always just going to be at my house. Dinner time, I'm hoping to make an actual time for that I'm going to be at my house. The mornings, I always stay home. So right up until like 10, 11, I don't usually leave my house, maybe twice a year, which I know.
Or you can focus that way. There's no, hey, got a minute's kind of stopping you from doing your actual important work, right?
Yeah. So in the morning, I would do baby stuff, family stuff, hang out with them, go to my computer, do that list of stuff, and then, yeah.
Can you share your hit list? I would love to know what that hit list is next to your computer.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have it with me, but it's like, follow up with hot leads, look at the warm leads, quickly look over follow-up box, make sure there's no, nastiness in there. Check my emails quick, deal with any paperwork or random things I have to get back to people. The assistant does a lot of the paperwork, but just little loose ends of things I have to sign.
But it's just manning the battleship, right?
Yeah. And then there's also like spending 15 minutes talking to people on social media, like commenting and whatever. I'm kind of bad with that now because I'm kind of on it a lot, but I want to just limit it, get the stuff done, get off it. Yeah, those are some of the things on the list. And then I have a weekly list, which is keeping our sellers updated every Friday with a big list of everything we're doing and what we're doing for the following week to market their property. And then we have a monthly list, which is more like batching video content calendar stuff. And I've like redone this schedule like 50 times to perfect it.
Well, 2 things I'll share with you, because again, it's getting around people with the right mindset. Peter McKinnon just put out a new video. That's my home screen. So I actually removed, there's only 2 apps that I have on there. There's the Bible and then what I need on an hourly basis. That's it, all notifications off. And then I actually have my Remarkable tablet. And it's funny, we have the same kind of pattern where I have like my hit list. And I just I look at out of 7 days, did I do those things every single day? So I have like the key important things that I want to do in the daytime, things like engaging with your community and things that you're like, oh yeah, this is important, but life can get busy. I think you're super smart in adding those things on. And then you probably take things out and add things in based on like where you're at and where you think your value is. But that fluidity, I think, is helping you find yourself. And it's pretty cool to see, you have that clarity of like, all right, this is the person that I want to become. This is my priorities. And then you put it somewhere where you can actually see it so that you can constantly modify? Do you journal? Like, is this something that you've always done, or is it something that you just developed over time?
The list thing?
The list, yeah, like putting it in front of your face. Like, is it a
Yeah. So I
coach? I'm
realized
so
I
curious.
had to, because it was just so all in my head, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I'm like, I'm just going to write it out and literally tack it to the wall. And I told my teammates to do that, but I know everybody works differently. So they were like, is it okay if it's in our phone? Like, I guess, but for
Do
my
whatever
head,
you
I
want.
needed it right there. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we weren't sure if we had to print it. So, yeah, I've kind of done it the whole time once I realized I was going all over the place. And I feel that when you have the list and you just get it all done, it makes your life easier and it makes you have more time. So you would think if you skipped it 4 days out of the week that you would have more time because you just skipped it for 4 days. But really, if you get to the Friday or whatever, you're like, oh, I feel so scattered. Now I have all this stuff to do. My emails built up. I don't even know where to begin. Whereas sometimes I get through that list in like a half hour and I'm like, oh, I've done so much today, more than most realtors do in a week. And then I go on with my day. And if you do nothing else business related for the rest of the day, at least you got that done. You're like, wow, in a half hour, I got a lot of stuff done, and I'm just going to go to do today. I mean, not every day is like that, but.
And again, even if you have the structure and you hit it 70% of the time, still better than 90% of the world that have no structure, right? And the compounding effects are real. I guess the next question I have for you would be, what was Jessica like as a kid? Like, what was your favorite subject in school?
I think like art, drama class, like acting and stuff like that. So I was always the one that's like, I'll volunteer and would go off.
And you crushed the Peterborough market. So everybody watching that wants to connect, that's where you're based out of, right? Like, what's your territory?
Yeah, Peterborough, Ontario, and just on the outskirts, like Lakefield, Bridgenorth, Ennismore, Bailey-Borough.
I have no idea where those places are, but I'm sure somebody does that's watching this. Did you grow up there, or what was Jessica like as a little one kind of growing up?
Yeah. So I grew up in Peterborough and, born and raised here. Pretty high strung as a kid, all over the place and out of the box with ideas and all sorts of things, same as I am now. So how I am now, more mature version, I guess. It was like that at school. You know, how I'm in the real estate groups where everyone's like, what's she going on about now? I was like that as a kid, like interrupting the class, like, ADD and just, it was pretty crazy for my teachers.
Yeah, but I think it's how kids are supposed to be, right? Like, I think I have a daughter and, I think it's super interesting how the world's almost like, the kids should act prim and proper. They should do this. They should, kids are messy. They're loud. They get angry. They get hungry. They get happy. They get sad. Like, we're all little kids that grew up. And I think it's interesting how the people that I respect and a lot of the people that I see doing things at the level I want to do it find more of themselves and are more themselves than anybody I've ever met. I think the people that try and bottle that in, it's not sustainable, right?
Yeah. It's interesting because the people that are like that, I really connect with them. Like, I'm like, I love this person. This girl I hung out with this weekend, we had a baby play date. I'm like, she's so awesome. And then it's like, I just don't connect sometimes with the others, but I wish that maybe they would feel more comfortable in their skin too. They would probably have a better time, but
well, just like the network marketing stuff, like I said, there's people out there for everybody. If you're a shady real estate agent, there's, I think, 5 agents you can find on the CBC article that was just posted. Go hang out with them. If you're not and you want to be a good person, hang out around good people. I mean, you'll find your people. I've always had fun with colorful characters in our industry that are almost like cartoons of themselves that everybody else has a hard time negotiating with. I love it. Maybe it's, I was in hospitality previously. What was your work background? Did you have like different types of jobs growing up? Like, what'd you do before real estate?
So before real estate, I had a cleaning business. So we did residential and commercial cleaning all in Peterborough. And then I had a team of employees that did that cleaning. So same thing, I ran a business. Before that, I was a teenager, so I worked at Dairy Queen. But so ran my own business before.
Yeah. Food services. I will hire a lot of people from food services because you learn how to work on the fly, especially at Dairy Queen. I'd imagine that'd be a pretty fun place to work.
Oh, in a call center, but mainly the business I had because it was kind of the same, trying to get cleaning contracts, following up with people, dealing with issues, going out to estimates where they were looking to hire a cleaner and I was like competing with these other cleaners and same kind of thing on a smaller scale.
Well, the biggest takeaway from this episode, if you want to be a successful real estate agent, work at Dairy Queen, a call center, and then start your own cleaning company. You're going to learn how to be an entrepreneur, talk to people, and deal with messy situations. So you're all good there, right?
So true.
I got the rapid fire round of questions for you, and then I will get you out of here. Up to this point in your life, what is the greatest lesson you have learned?
Greatest lesson I've learned. I just think it's probably being true to who you are. So no matter what people think or say or do or whatever, just knowing that you are who you are and being true to yourself is the most important thing at the end of the day.
I absolutely agree with that answer. What are you learning right now? You probably have like 80% of your brain that you know consistently will generate business, but there's probably 20% of your brain thinking about something crazy or learning something new. What are you learning right now?
Right now, I'm doing disc profiling courses, so learning about personality profiling. It's really interesting. Like, I love talking about it.
I have a really good friend I'll introduce you to, Anna Abadamarco. She's in the States. She's a wizard when it comes to disc profile. So send me a message about that after. One of my favorite questions: how has failure shaped your life?
I think it's made me just realize that sometimes you need it to learn and get past things. So it actually, not in the moment, but after the fact, I learned that it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Just like they say, like, you know, all those, I don't know, Walt Disney or whatever failed or was denied 20 times or whatever it is. And then before they reach success, kind of that sort of thing, same concept.
Man, like top tier athletes, Tom Brady, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the Colonel got shut down. So if the Colonel got shut down and learned from it, I think we all can. But the very most important question: how can I add value to you? What's important to you today? Do you want to send people to connect with you? What can I do for you? I made time for my platform, so I want to make sure that you have my platform for whatever you want.
Well, actually, I mean, it's cool if people call me if they want to buy or sell real estate in Peterborough, but I messaged you about it, actually, your content on YouTube. So even just existing is what you can do. It's pretty cool. And just even feedback or some sort of, you know, mastermind group, stuff like that, even the real estate hack stuff. I think it's hard to find like-minded people in our industry sometimes that want to connect and talk about things. So sure. I think that's huge to me.
All right. Well, we'll do that. I'll jump on a call with you. We can talk about Follow a Boss and Asana if you want. Is there a specific type of video you want me to create? Like, what's one thing that's just burning in your head right now? You're like, Justin, I'd love to see you do a video on this. What would that topic be?
I think anything real estate related, like kind of what we talked about today, that's more about like life and systems and less about, you know, the market stats, what's happening with the market, that sort of stuff. I mean, that's important and I do watch it and care about it, but I really like hearing about, you know, realtor moms and realtor parents and struggles of realtors and just all that kind of stuff.
All right. I got something brewing, so you can definitely hit me up. We'll jump on a Zoom call for that systems thing, and I'll do a video specifically for you. It's funny because I have two channels. My prime channel is for consumers, and that's where the market stats live. The systems and the back end, I'll create something. So I definitely appreciate you being on the Prime People podcast, Jessica. I'm sure you'll be on again in the future. And if anybody wants to connect with Jessica, just jump in the links below. She's in the Peterborough area doing big things. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. See you, Jess.
Bye.
Bye.